What is up, Team JVS? We are back with another review. We are here with Superman and Lois, episode 5 of season 4. And I'm really excited to just dive into this. I mean, I've made my opinions clear on the previous episodes, and as much as I do love them, um, I think episode 4 and 5 are not on par with episode 1, 2, and 3. And that's not a bad thing. I really do like, again, I mentioned this about episode 4. I like taking a step back. The way General Lane met his end, that was a lot. That was a lot, and I think the way we kind of have handled things the last two episodes with 4 and 5, I think it's really slowed things down a little bit, and I've kind of enjoyed that. But there's a lot to kind of dive into. So first off, of course, I'm Busy Brown. Hello. We're covering a whole bunch of other stuff. So again, if you're new, subscribe, check out all of our reviews, and if you're into reactions, we do that over on my channel. So make sure you're, of course, checking out Busy Brown. But yeah, I mean, I think this was an interesting episode because of how much we push things forward, and we did that in the last episode. But with this episode specifically, it wasn't just kind of taking a fresh breath of air. We actually dove into a lot of like the relationship of Elizabeth and Luther, which was a big step because this entire beef, this entire season is kind of based off Lois, of course, putting Luther behind bars and causing him to lose all of those years with his daughter. And we never actually got to see them kind of like on screen. We've seen pictures of who was playing Elizabeth, which again, fantastic actress. On top of that, she directed a couple episodes for this show, which I think is fantastic. Her name is also Elizabeth, but still, it's one of those things where I'm just really, really excited to finally see everything kind of unfold or kind of happen. Um, to see the way Luther was with his daughter. We see everything kind of falling apart with his marriage, which I kind of like how they highlighted. We see even his own wife is just looking at him like he's a monster, and she's not getting the attention she wants. She's not, she's tired of living a life being followed around by the feds and just being questioned, and her husband's considered a criminal. There's just so many aspects to their entire marriage and why it might be falling apart. And of course, Luther's a man of not taking responsibility for his actions, and we see that in this episode, whether it's him constantly blaming the way he kind of grew up, the way he was raised, which again, decent excuse, but at the end of the day, you can't blame that for who you are 50 years in the future. But well, you can, but still, you guys hopefully know what I'm saying. Like, the fact is, instead of trying to understand where she's coming from, he just kept kind of like backtracking, and it ended up helping him later on when he was talking to Elizabeth, when he was saying, "Hey, like, this is what happened. This is how my mom was. She would take her anger out from with her husband, on me, and this is what happened." And she was extremely sympathetic to that, and we were seeing kind of like their bond kind of actually forming. Something was actually happening there, and of course things all fell apart when Luther, starts being Luther. The way she described it, I can't raise my son around all of this hate. It's the perfect way to kind of describe the entire situation. He is just a man who is so kind of like, he's convinced himself that he is so pissed off of the idea that I've lost 17 years of my daughter's life, but he is getting an opportunity not only to rebuild with his daughter, but to rebuild with a grandchild. And I personally believe if he truly, truly wanted that, like, he has so much money right now. He has so much, he could literally drop. He's free. He's not even a wanted criminal. He could drop everything and just start new with the grandchild and everything. But he is so consumed by this anger, by this need for revenge. It's causing him to, I don't want to say think irrationally, because I'm pretty sure he is thinking pretty clear, but it's causing him to create an even bigger drift with his daughter, which is something that you wouldn't even imagine, especially going into this episode. If your daughter is at a point where she wants nothing to do with you and she's literally hiding from you, then you think that you've kind of hit rock bottom. But no, not only did he kind of pull her in a little bit and play with her head, but he totally cut that cord by saying, "Nah, I'm cool with, being in your life, but first I gotta kind of take care of, my business, which is Lois Lane and her family." And of course, Elizabeth is not down for any of that, and it's I totally understand, especially with having a kid. You do not need any of that negativity. I get it. But I truly think, like, I understand how hate and how pissed off he is, but I think that there's got to be a line where you got to understand you have this or you have that. And if you're picking the revenge over your family, the one thing you're pissed about in the first place, like, it's not like he's just mad that he lost time. He's mad that he lost time with his daughter. And now he's wasting even more of that time, like the possibility that he could not only have 17 more years but more years with his grandchild and all that. And it's like he's, I don't know, it just doesn't make too much sense to me, other than just being purely consumed by rage. So I guess I understand that in a sense, but I kind of want to understand uh, uh where you guys stand on that, because that's kind of a weird subject. But again, seeing her was a really, really cool thing for me, at least, because I love the actress in Agents of Shield, one of my favorite superhero shows. So to see her in this, again, just seeing her pictures, and I believe it was like episode two, or yeah, episode two, was a highlight for me. So to see just more of that, just to see her actually just killing it and performing, it was fantastic. And um, it was just great. I mean, even just the conversation she was having with Michael Cudlitz, his character, Lex Luthor, it was just extremely well done. It was handled perfectly. Just the emotion, not just coming out of her, but coming out of Michael Cudlitz, because he's such a stone face, no, no, serious. His character is just, you don't want to call them heartless, but they're just so stone faced. Like, it takes a lot for them to get that emotion out. But you can see, Lex Luthor kind of crumbling a little bit. Wow, Elizabeth is kind of delivering her lines. It was just. I don't know. I just truly enjoyed the interactions between the two. Like, you realistically knew that it wasn't going to end well. Like, we know that Lex Luthor isn't going to be defeated with the power of love. Like, this isn't the Flash. Like, we knew that wasn't going to happen. But to see where it kind of led up with her just kind of being like, no, this is it. Like, she left once, came back, and even then, her coming back still didn't teach him enough, because she had to leave again because of the pure rage that this dude is kind of, you know, just object or just kind of throwing onto her. Again, the flashbacks were something I really enjoyed. We haven't seen his wife, so to see her and just to see the pure frustration kind of being delivered from her to Lex was, again, really interesting to me. But again, it all led to it all led to it not really working out, because we end up seeing him kind of flip his shit and just get to the point where he's says to her, like, don't tell me how I feel. You have no business, like when she's like, you don't even love your own daughter. Like, that's where he kind of snapped. And of course, right when he snaps is when the daughter kind of gets into the picture. And again, I think this really highlights more who Lex is too. Like, again, someone that can love things, but doesn't know how to kind of hold on to it, because again, he was getting rid of everything. Like, he said she can have all the property she wants, but my daughter is staying in the US, and it's like, of course, the mom just snaps back to the, you just want to hurt me. You just want to see me suffer. And again, it's the same dialogue that she's kind of giving out is the same dialogue that Lex was giving to her. So it's kind of like a back and forth thing. I did like the kind of similarities between the two scenes, where in the beginning we see him kind of talking about how, she's taking away his marriage. Like, this is you just want to see me suffer. And then he's taking away the kid. So the same line is delivered. I don't know. I kind of liked the way they kind of handled that. It was kind of different circumstances. One, I mean, for Lex, it was taking away the entire family. I mean, for him, he wanted to be happy, but he maybe wasn't considering how everything else was going in the relationship. So I think that's why when things were falling apart, he just wasn't able to kind of comprehend it or take it. Um, and I don't know. He's a very impulsive man. I mean, all on top of that, he's a genius. So he does think things through. But I mean, I don't know. I think it's just I do like that we got this flashback, because I mean, it's as simple as me saying, like, yeah, I know a little bit about his character, but like, we want to know more about this version of the character. So the fact that they dove into that in this episode, again, is a big highlight for me. And the flashbacks I thought were pretty cool. She is in the flashbacks with an American accent, and then of course they explain she moved to London and or she moved to England and ended up, I don't know where in England she moved, but once she moved there, she of course ended up adopting the accent again. So to fit in is what she said, which I think is funny considering the actress is whatever. But like it's still like one of those things where it's like I thought it was a little fun touch, but I don't know. There was a lot going down in this episode. Again, it was extreme. It was brutal in the sense where like everything we got, there was like no action, so it was brutal on a mental standpoint. It was, I don't know, it was crazy. But diving into some of the other stuff, we finally get Candace, which again, it's been cool. Like every episode, we get like one returning or recurring character. Episode one, we got Sam Lane, which was pretty cool because we got him in not only episode one but in episode three. Episode two, we get Sarah and we get Lana, and then in episode three, we dive back to of course uh Steel and Starlight, and then episode four again. Wait, did I already get there? Episode three, episode four is with Kyle, and I'm all over the place, man. But yeah, it was just really cool to see familiar faces, of course. But I don't know, man. I think it's just gonna get crazier from this point on. I mean, the fact that we only have 5 episodes left, I believe that we're gonna have to resolve everything in maybe 4 episodes, and episode 10 will just be like the goodbye episode, you know. So there's a lot to go on, but episode five, of course, diving into it, we get Candace back, which I do like that we're having these characters return to kind of wrap up some of their arcs, like Kyle getting married. I think that was a little was nothing crazy important, but it was still fun, and for us fans to be able to see that get resolved was pretty cool. So I did like that. So for Candace to kind of dive back into the picture and not disappear was pretty interesting. But the one thing that I've mentioned, even in my reaction, is like the one thing that I've had a problem with certain shows. I know a lot of shows have gone to a 6 episode format for their seasons. This is a 10 episode format, which isn't as bad, and I love that. I do like that we're getting somewhat of a conclusion. Like the fact that we're getting a 10 episode season conclusion is something that I'm excited for. The fact that we're being able to finish our story, I think, is a win because a lot of other shows don't might not always get that treatment. So to see some of these characters, go the right way has been fun. And I think the same thing goes with Candace. It looks like she might appear again, but just to see her again without her just straight up disappearing, I did like that a lot. And but the one thing that I wasn't a fan of was her finding out about John's secret off screen. And that's happened a lot. Like Clark found out about John's secret off screen. General Lane found out about John's secret off screen. Like a lot of the stuff that we would see in a normal episode, like just them being like, "Oh my god, really?" Like it just didn't happen, and it does suck, but at the same time, I understand why. I mean, I understand if it's not entirely necessary, don't do it. But considering that the entire episode was like on top of the Lex Luthor stuff, we had the build up of Candace being upset that John wasn't revealing what he actually was doing. So to kind of go the route where it's like everything's resolved. She found out what you were actually doing, but we're not gonna actually see her find out what you were actually doing. We're just gonna, have her be like, "Hey, I know," and I think that could have been different, but at the end of the day, they are working with a crazy schedule. They're doing things entirely different than what they're familiar with from the prior seasons. So I'm not upset. I'm just glad that we're getting this season. I just think that that's just something, an opinion of mine, if you will. But leading up to Lois, again, I could be wrong here, but I thought it was a little bit out of character for Lois to kind of put Elizabeth's life in danger, in order to protect her families. I understand she'll do anything for her family, but Elizabeth, on top of, just wanting to stay away from her father because she just doesn't feel safe around him, she is bringing a newborn, she's bringing a child into this world. So the idea that she doesn't have her child, like the idea that Lois knows her child is, on the way, but she still is like, hey, like I desperately need this. It just, I don't know. Like I understand Lois would do anything, but it just felt a little weird to me personally. Like I just didn't think that she would be like hey, like even though you feel extremely unsafe and you have a child coming into this world, and even though I know damn well this person shouldn't be in your life, I'm desperate. I need the help. And then part of me understands it, but part of me is just like, yo, but I feel like Lois would just handle things a little different. I don't know. But the one thing that really messed me up is when she kind of put two and two together that Bizarro was Doomsday, and then she grabs the ELT or whatever it's called, and calls Doomsday. And of course when Jordan hears it and Jordan goes and they're all face to face with Doomsday. Again, I love the detail of Doomsday. I think it's so cool to see what the CG and the stuff that they've done with his character, because we've seen Doomsday before, but I'm just impressed with everything here. Like, I'm loving it, you know. So just to see how they kind of handled it, it was again, it was very interesting. But to see her go face to face, and for Doomsday to actually kind of just sit there and hear her out, and for her to be like, you know, especially at the ending when you actually hear her breaking down and talking to him, and it felt like a big reveal. Can you imagine if we didn't know Doomsday was Bizarro? And we just kind of had like a Savitar moment where Lois is connecting the dots, kind of like how Barry found out who Savitar was, and you know, she ends up, it cuts to the scene of, you know, them finding out that, wait, Doomsday's bizarre, you know. Like, I understand it was still really cool prior to this, but the way they kind of revealed that scene, it, the music and just everything there, it felt like a reveal. It felt like they were telling us something we didn't know, even though it was just her simply being like I know you had a family in your life, don't let my family be torn apart, you know. Like, you know, I don't know, I thought that scene was just handled amazingly. But at the end of the day, I felt like a reveal. So part of me was like, can you imagine if this is how they revealed Bizarro? You know, like, I don't know. But either way, I'm happy with this episode. Again, not every episode is gonna be insane, but I do think this episode was good. Episode 4 was solid. Episode 1, 2, and 3 were just such an amazing way to start off the season. And I think that's why we have such a high bar, because it's like after watching something like that, it's like, you know, you guys get what I'm saying. But that's kind of where I stand. I did like this episode, and I'm super ready for episode 6, which is crazy to say, but we're close. But again, big thank you to all of you. I hope you guys are doing well. Hope you're staying safe. I thank you guys for watching. Again, if you guys are new, hello, this is Team JVS. We drop a whole bunch of different reviews here, not just for, you know, Superman and Lois, but a big variety of shows, whether it's dramas, anime, comedies, just anything that we can review. We try to do it over here. We just love to do it. We got a couple other things coming out. We got Cobra Kai coming out later on this, you know, coming up soon. We got Arcane coming up. We got a whole bunch of things that we are planning on reviewing, so hopefully we're able to get to it. So again, just keep an eye out. And on top of that, if you're into reactions, we will be covering a lot of shows on my channel, like Superman and Lois. We have the reactions over there, as well as on some other platforms and on YouTube Shorts. So just keep an eye out. Again, all the likes really do help the algorithm push us out to more people on top of my channel, but on top of this channel, Team JVS. So make sure you're showing love to both of us. But over here, reviews, this is the place to be. I promise you that. So keep an ear out. And again, thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are awesome. Peace out.